During the 15th century, Mulan, a Chinese woman, works at home housekeeping and tending to small fields of crops.
Her husband, Shang, is a sailor. Mulan has very little liberty because she is not a part of the upper class and also fairly young.
Had Mulan lived during the beginnings of the world, she would have had no respect in the household. She would have lived in an agricultural society within which she would have had an arranged marriage.
Confucian ideas of women were prominent, and when it came to having children, if she had a daughter rather than a son, the girl probably would have been abandoned or sold into slavery. This went on until about 500 BCE, the middle of the Han Dynasty.
Women like Mulan during the Han Dynasty would have lived under the principle of yin and yang. Despite this, the Han Dynasty offered a new freedom to a small group of women. Empresses were introduced instead of emperors.
The three obediences were practiced, meaning a woman was inferior first to her father, then to her husband, and finally to her son.
After 400 years of disorder following the collapse of the Han Dynasty, women were welcomed into an era of open-mindedness and equality during the Tang Dynasty. Women were granted the same educational rights as men, as well as individual social status.
Although women had many freedoms early on in the Tang Dynasty, they slowly deteriorated as China moved from the Tang Dynasty into the Song Dynasty.
She would have had an even more restrictive lifestyle. During the Song Dynasty, generally followed strict Confucian values, much like the people in the 15th century.
Long-distance trade became incredibly important during the Song Dynasty. This trade would become a means of social mobility as well as a passageway for the integration of religions. Major developments within this time period would have been the silk, sand, and most importantly to Mulan's family, sea roads.
Throughout all the changes in the early world, the life of a Chinese woman would not have been all that different. The basic principle of female inferiority remained.
There were, of course, social fluctuations throughout the different eras, giving liberties or taking them away that would have affected Mulan's way of life. However, the life of a peasant woman in China would have been one of housework, subordination, and learning along with the rest of the world.